What's good, Bulls fans, and welcome back to another Horns Over Hoops podcast with your hosts, Sal-Bass, Scott Berman, and Dan Gracie. What's going on, guys?
What's going, Sal?
What's up?
Going good. Yeah, we got a great show tonight. A lot has happened since we last met. We're going to cover some of the Bulls games. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room that is the Zach Lavine trade rumors. But first, guys, we got a problem here.
What's that?
So, over the recent games, Alex Caruso has really stepped up and become the face of this league. And it's been a while since I've bought a jersey. And because those new Chicago in-season tournament jerseys look so cool, I wanted to get one of those. But I was cleaning out my closet the other day, and I was looking at all the jerseys I got, and I realized something is I have some terrible luck when it comes to buying sports jerseys. So I wanted to ask you guys, after sharing all my jerseys, if you think it's a good idea for me to get this jersey or if you think it's all in my head. All right, ready?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So the very first jersey I ever got in 1992 was for Christmas. My dad got me a Michael Jordan jersey. It was like one of those champion ones. At the end of the 92 season, Mike retired. Then in 2000, same thing. I got a Tony Kukoc jersey because he was the only good player on the Bulls at the time, and he gets traded to the Sixers. I got my Jamal Crawford jersey. Okay. It was like one of those game-worn ones that you have to get at the United Center. Like, my dad went and got it, and then the next day he had to drive back to United Center because he picked up the wrong size. Anyway, the day after I put it on, we play the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Fred Hoiberg pump fakes a three. Jamal Crawford rolls over his back, landing on his neck, and he gets carted off on a stretcher. The day after I wear the jersey.
All right, so pretty much what you're saying is, Sal, don't buy jerseys.
No, it gets better. It gets better. All right, you guys know about my Luol Deng jersey signed by Larry Hughes. Those were both wasted efforts there. I bought a Ben Wallace jersey midway through the season, and he gets traded to the Cavs. This is a good one. I got a Jimmy Butler signed and matted jersey. He was doing a signing close by, and I went and bought a really pretty expensive jersey for him to sign. He signed it. We got it matted, which that alone costs a couple $100, and then he gets traded the next season. The Dwayne Wade experiment. I bought a Dwayne Wade jersey, and he just played absolutely dog crap that entire season. But this is the one where this is going to turn me into the Chicago Bulls version of Steve Bartman. You know who Steve Bartman is, right, Dan?
I do not.
That's the guy who...
Yeah,
kinda, if you live in Chicago.
Who is this? Who is this Bartman?
Scott, tell him who Bartman is.
So what was it? I don't even remember what year that is.
2003, 2004?
Yes, so... Steve Bartman. The Cubs are in the 2003 playoffs, National League Championship Series. They're up, I think, 3-1 in the series. And someone hits a foul ball, I believe, in the 8th inning that goes to a guy that's right on the foul line, right on the edge. And he catches it over Moises Alou's hands. So he basically takes it on Moises Alou's hand. And the Cubs end up losing the next 2 to 3 games, and Steve Bartman is blamed for everything. So,
okay,
yeah.
I've heard of this before. Yeah.
He was getting death threats and everything like that.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool because they held an execution ceremony for that ball. They blew it up on public TV or... I think it was at was it at the Billy Goat?
I believe they blew it up on the field, at home plate or something. Yeah.
Oh, on the field. Yeah. Okay.
So dramatic.
So yeah, that guy. My next statement that I say is probably going to turn me into that guy.
All right.
So I better watch out. I have 3 Derrick Rose jerseys. All of them purchased the year of his major knee injuries. In the order they were purchased, he was wearing that colored jersey the year that he got hurt. I bought those jerseys the year he got injured, the same colors that he was wearing the games that he got injured.
Don't buy any more jerseys. Just don't do it.
I'm going to need you to,
especially Caruso. Don't.
please buy a Patrick Williams jersey.
Yeah, for those of you wondering, I don't own a Patrick Williams jersey. That's why he's playing so bad.
Do they
I
even
don't have.
sell them?
He's a starter. You can get it.
I think you have to
know.
get. No, he's not.
I think at the United Center they have it. I haven't seen it at like Dick's Sporting Goods or anything.
I think it's one of those ones that you have to like custom make.
So is that a go? I can get it.
I mean, go for it. He'll probably go for
Get
it.
one without a name.
You guys are haters. You guys are haters.
Of
I want
who?
the fans, I want the listeners to decide. You know what, Scott? Post a poll on Twitter. Should Sal be able to buy an Alex Caruso City Edition jersey?
The answer should be no. I swear to God.
So slide over to our Twitter, answer that question, and we'll read your comments on the next episode. And based on how you guys answer, we'll determine if I buy a jersey or not, or if I'm banned from ever buying another sports jersey ever again.
Well, at least Chicago.
Just don't buy a current player.
Go buy a LeBron James jersey. Maybe he'll finally retire.
That's actually a good strategy. It was funny because remember how we were talking about my Luol Deng jersey that was signed by Larry Hughes, and you guys are like, what other jerseys do you have signed by another player? So when I was going through my memorabilia box, I found, I think you guys were there for this game with me. It was a Rajon Rondo box, the bobblehead.
No.
So it was a Rajon Rondo bobblehead that they gave out during the game. And again, Rondo didn't come out through the tunnel, but the only person that came out through the tunnel was Niko Mirotic.
Nico.
So I have a Rajon Rondo bobblehead box that's signed by Niko Mirotic.
Did he have a black eye?
No, just a black beard. Yeah. My brother had to say Derrick Rose jersey signed by Bob Love, too.
The most random jerseys,
Well,
signings. Like, Bob Love's awesome as shit. Like, I've met Bob Love. He's a really nice guy.
Oh, yeah. But we didn't know, like, he didn't know who it was because I guess he went to a game with, like, his buddy and my dad, and they were standing right before the game watching the warm-ups, and there's this guy standing next to him talking about basketball, and my brother's like, oh, who are you? Because I don't know if he made, like, hints that he used to play for us, and I guess Bob Love just pointed into the rafters and said, you see that number 10 up there? Yeah, that's me.
That's awesome.
He's like, oh, my goodness, can I get a...
Yeah. Good flex.
Yeah. But anyway, not to get off topic, we got a lot to cover here.
Sal, I have some bad news for you.
What's up?
On the NBA website, you cannot get an Alex Caruso City jersey.
Did you, like, plug in that it's Sal trying to get a jersey? They just denied
No,
me,
it
or
seems
what?
like you can only get Zach and DeRozan.
Eh.
Maybe they sold out of the Caruso. Because, dude, I could have sworn I saw one the other day.
I mean, I'm sure you can get it, like, customized, but I mean, that's probably a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
In any sense. So, Bulls played 6 games since our last cast. They went 2-4 overall. They beat the Jazz and the Pistons in a revenge game, and then they went on to lose 2 to the Orlando Magic. Dan's holding up the official Alex Caruso City Edition jersey on his phone there. Okay, I see it. We'll see if I order it depending on what they say. Back to the games, that is. So, what is you guys' takes on the wins? Are you guys seeing the same mistakes consistently throughout every game? Do you guys see one particular aspect that stands out? What do you guys see? Scott, take me through it.
So with the wins, we're actually shooting well. We are hitting the three. Like against Detroit, we were able to shoot really well. We are driving a lot more, and we are just passing the ball. That was the big thing. I think there's too often that like the highest number of assists on our team is like 3. I forgot which game it was that DeRozan had like 7 assists. Detroit game, Kobe had 7 assists. If we're actually passing the ball and like feeding open players, that's when we start playing well. If we're not just being selfish. So you actually saw it during like the games we lost when we started making comebacks. It's because we weren't being selfish and we are finding open people.
Yeah, I did notice that it looked like a lot of our problems were like chemistry based. Sometimes it looks like we connect well as a group, and that's like you said, Scott, we were playing really well. But then, like, when you can kind of tell those games that we're losing, that looks like there's a lot of chemistry issues. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Dan, what's your take on the losses?
Yeah, during the losses, I just feel like the same mistakes constantly pop up. You're not guarding the 3-point line. They just look disconnected from the game, from each other, from the whole team, the franchise, the organization. And it's frustrating because when they do like win games and they look good, it looks like they're playing in the system, they're playing Billy's way, they're playing selflessly. So yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating seeing them just so disconnected and almost like they don't even care when they lose. They just give up. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, like, I agree with that. Like, what I took away from it is the 2 games that we won, we were playing like a cohesive unit. Like you guys were saying, we had high energy. We were distributing the ball. We were getting everyone involved. In fact, if you look at those games that we won, those 2, almost the entire team scored because we were distributing the ball. Our assists were high. Our shots were falling. The games that we lost, the only thing that stuck out to me is, especially in the game that we just played against the second game against the Magic, we allow ourselves to get in too big a deficit, and then come the late third or early fourth quarter, we decide, oh shoot, we have a game to play, and we try to recuperate a 20-point deficit against a professional basketball team. Now that can't happen. I think that when you open the gates and display high energy and put your pedal to the metal throughout the game, you get the highest success. But for us, for whatever reason, we like to play this little game where we don't get it together until after halftime. And by that point, the other team has already put up high numbers and a big deficit, and it kills us. I mean, how many of those games did we, send into overtime or lose by 1 possession? At least the Magic's game, those both were lost by 1 possession, more or less.
Yeah, I'm getting real tired of watching the Bulls just completely suck for 3 quarters and then deciding that they want to show up during the fourth and have to crawl back from like being down 20 to 25. Like, it's just really disappointing. Scott, what are your thoughts?
What really pisses me off about this team is, so we went 2-4. If we take out that Bucks loss, we lost by an average of 3 points or 2 points in those games. So we lost by 1 to the Suns. We lost by 2 to the Magic the first game. And the problem with this team is they're good enough to just keep it close, but they're not good enough to actually win games, which they show that they're good. They're not good enough to, close out. They don't get blown out, so they show they can stay with whatever team they're playing with, but they get too far behind, and we have to make up big deficits. I think we scored 32 points last night against the Magic, and the game before it was like 31. That's terrible in the first half. How do you only score 31 points in the first half?
That's the most frustrating thing about this team is that during the fourth quarter, they show that they can actually compete, but it's just in the fourth quarter. Where are they for the rest of the 3 quarters? They're nowhere to be seen. They don't care for the 3 quarters. Or at least that's what it looks like on the court.
I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. If you look at the first half, it's good. Here's the thing. It's bad, yes, but I like the fact that at least they get all their errors, we'll just say, or their rusty play at the beginning of the game out of the way. You know what I mean? That's fine. I'd rather them make those little careless mistakes in the beginning of the game than at the end during the stretch. But they are turning the ball over way too much in the first quarter. They're turning the ball over, too many careless passes, too many forced passes. It seems like at the beginning of the game, they try to do way too much with the ball as far as shots and passes.
Sloppy.
But and then at halftime, I don't know what clicks, or they just say, all right, it's time to turn it on. But their second halves are always statistically better than their first halves. And I want to see their stats for just the fourth quarter alone, because their fourth quarters are nothing short of amazing. Of how big of a deficit they can recuperate in a matter of minutes. And imagine if they just gave you that effort all 4 quarters, what we can do as this team. This team isn't bad. It's just they play bad together early on. I
mean, in the third and fourth quarter, we got 32 points each. And then in the first half, first quarter, we got 16 points. Second quarter, we got 17 points.
Right.
So, I don't. Again, like they're a second half team. First half they don't show any hustle. They don't know. I feel like they don't know how to set the tone. And I feel like that's why Caruso started last night, was to try to set the tone early, and it still didn't work. Like, no matter what Billy tries, it doesn't. It's not sticking with this team.
No, you're right. Yeah, actually, that was a good point. Was that his first start of the season last night, Dan?
Oh, yeah, of this season, yeah.
Yeah, going back to the beginning of the podcast where I mentioned Alex Caruso, he's really been, in my opinion, the only consistent player. And in my opinion, he's the best player of our team. You know what I mean?
He's the best player on our roster, for sure.
Yeah, because if you look at him on the court, the man is a defensive guru. He's starting to pick it up a little bit more offensively lately. I notice he's hitting that three a lot more consistent. Not that he was a bad three-point shooter before, but now it seems like he takes that shot more aggressively.
Yeah, he's finding his stride.
Yeah. Did you guys see that floater he had against the Phoenix Suns where he like Euro hopped somebody and then did that like little scoop?
Was that when he glided and did the finger roll?
Yes.
Finger roll?
Yes.
Yeah, that was such a pretty move.
But nonetheless, I mean, his presence on the court is phenomenal, and we felt it those two games that he sat out. We were missing that on-the-floor coach. I mean, you see him on the sidelines, too. When he's on the sidelines, it looks like he's yelling more than Billy is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Some Thibodeau vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Scott, what do you got with that?
The one thing I worry about Caruso is he started his first game and immediately got hurt. He's the only one that shows the energy. There was actually one point during the last Magic game, Zach made a play where he stole it and started running, and I forgot who texted. I think it was Sal. It was like, "Oh, Zach's actually showing some hustle. That's a first."
Oh, that was me. Yeah, because you never see Zach run down loose balls or anything like that. Like I feel like that's the first time I've seen it in his career with the Bulls.
Yeah. During the game, you hear it all the time from Stacy is, we need 5 Alex Carusos. We need to clone that guy and have someone that has his energy because it doesn't stop. It doesn't matter what the score is. He's always going to be trying. Even if they're being blown out, he's going to be trying. If they're killing it, yeah.
Did you see him in the first? Did you see him in the first quarter when he was for like a little bit of the stretch, he was guarding 2 people at the same time. Like, the man's everywhere.
Yeah, that man does have a phenomenal talent of literally being able to guard almost every position on the court, and your biggest stars too. That's why, like, whenever people ask me what position does he play, it's kind of hard to answer that question because, yeah, he's listed as a guard, but he can play the forward. He can play power forward. He started at power forward, and what is he, like 6'4", 6'5"?
Something like that.
Yeah.
He's average size NBA player.
Yeah, the man is a tremendous athlete, and with everything going around now, I'm just hoping that we lock him in and don't ship him out because he really is the heart and soul of this team. And like you said, Scott, if he was a little bit more durable, you would see him starting a lot more. But the problem is the way that his body is set up, you know, whenever he hits the ground, we're always cringing because the man looks like he literally hurts himself every single play.
Well, I mean, it's like what Stacey said. Like, we have to limit his minutes to save him from himself.
Exactly.
Because he's constantly diving, and he's always doing the little gritty things that no one else does.
Oh, exactly. Could you imagine if you had a more durable Alex Caruso to give you 30 minutes in the starting position every night? You know, it'd be fantastic.
The problem with Caruso is the team relies on him so much in how good his defense is. They just expect him to stop people. So the big one I saw was the first Magic game we played, that game winner that Paulo had against us. Zach was right there and could have doubled him. Instead, he just stood and just watched the play happen. He could have come on the other side. They could have sandwiched him, put him in a tough spot, but he kind of just expected Caruso to stop him.
Yeah, I see what you mean by that.
Yeah. I mean, Zach doesn't have, like, he doesn't have the best basketball IQ.
He has terrible basketball IQ. Awful.
Yeah. I was trying to be
nice. It's awful.
Trying to be nice.
It's one of the worst basketball IQs in the league. It's so bad.
He's kind of an idiot out there on the court. But, I mean, he still makes it work sometimes. He dropped, 31, I think, last night?
34. With
34.
Like a majority of them being in the second half. I think he only scored 9 in the first half.
I'm glad because he played like complete dog shit.
Yeah,
the game before that.
Yeah. The first game against Orlando.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was. See, the problem is, like, people with, like, Zach Lavine. I mean, I'm sure everyone has read the news by now with his names being in the trade talks. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But for somebody whose name is in the trade talks, right now, I should be seeing Zach Lavine scoring 30-plus points a game to get his trade stock up. Not just points, but doing it on the defensive end and just showing hustle, because you really want to get traded to these teams. You really want teams to be interested in you. Nobody's going to take on your enormous contract if you're just going to give up or put up 30 points whenever you feel like it. You know what I mean? Other teams are looking for consistency. And I think that if we had that in Chicago from day one, we'd have no problem right now. But the fact of the matter is, Zach is just too damn inconsistent. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think he's this season and like half of last season, he was pretty inconsistent. Yeah, I was hoping that he was gonna start balling out just to bring his stock up, but nope. Zach Lavine's gonna do Zach Lavine things. Scott, what do you think?
He's taking plenty of shots. It's nothing's falling for him. Last night he did make a lot of like big shots to make us come back, but he just forces too much stuff. He just drives the basket and into like 2 or 3 people, and you're not going to score on that. Or he takes a dumb three.
Do you think he's like trying too hard?
He's either trying too hard or he just doesn't care.
Or even he might be in his own head with this whole trade situation.
Well, he wants to be traded.
Well, I know that he wants to be traded, but like that maybe that's what like his brain is just focused on instead of the actual game.
Yeah, possible.
I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just
his stats
trying to figure out why Zach's playing like garbage.
His scoring's down this year. He's averaging 22 points a game. He was averaging like 24, 25 last year. So everything's
he also
down.
He didn't deny that he wanted to be traded. I don't know if you guys heard the interview.
It was the first time. It was the first time he didn't full on deny that he wanted to be traded.
Right. Which I'm convinced that the only reason that he hasn't fully publicly come out and said, I want to be traded, is because now we have a rule where you can't do that. Because he basically said to the media the other day, you know, that's not my job to talk to them. I got an agent to talk to the front office. They've been talking all the time. He did say, you know, right now I'm focused on winning the Orlando game. After that, we can talk about it if it happens after that. So you can tell that, you know, any other superstar would just, like any other superstar would look at him and say, no. Well, actually, no, that was after the first game. So the second game, he actually came and balled out. So, but any other superstar would just look at it and say, I'm a member of this team until I'm not. You know what I mean? And he just basically made it sound like my agents are talking to the front office for what made it sound like to get me out of here. You know, that's what I got out of it. Is that more or less what you guys got?
I mean, yeah. Essentially, I mean, yeah, usually Zach dodges the questions, and this is the first time he went head on with it. And yeah, I saw an article that's pretty much said that this is like a quiet version of saying, I want like a trade demand. This is a quiet trade demand. They're just not calling it a trade demand. Like Zach 100% does not want to be a Bull anymore.
No. And again, like I wonder if it's so quiet because they did just recently change that.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, he doesn't want to be on the team, but he's not showing that anything should be given to him. So is he trying to screw over the Bulls and try to tank his stock so the Bulls don't get as much in return because the organization has been so bad to him? Or is he just on the downfall of his career?
I mean, he's 28. I think he's still in his prime. He's on I don't think he's like in the peak of his prime. I think he is like on the back end of his prime. But maybe he is trying to like just tank the Bulls stock or whatever because he got benched by Billy last season and he's still mad about that. Or maybe like he can't play like this and expect to go to a contending team and be that second or third option for that contending team. Because you're just so inconsistent that you're not going to help, you're going to hurt.
No, here's my take on this. So, Dan, you said it right. You know, when you enter 29, that's considered your prime, is right at 29. The problem with Zach Lavine is he visually and physically shows himself to be a disgruntled employee. And it doesn't matter what industry you work in, whether it be sports or an everyday job. If you have a disgruntled, unhappy employee, they're going to perform poorly. I do believe that Zach Lavine on another team that he's happy to be with, whether it be a contender or just a team that he wants to be on, he will put up numbers and he will become the Zach Lavine that we all knew and loved the seasons before. But the problem is there's something going on, whether it's in our organization or extracurricular, that is making him not buy into the Chicago Bulls system. Now, I want to address very clearly that Zach Lavine has been very mature about this, and I appreciate this throughout the entire process. We do know that there are all-stars, superstars out there. I think James Harden just pulled this same thing, this same stint where they sit out, they refuse to show up to training camps, they refuse to go to games. But so far, Zach Lavine has gone out there and he's played. I don't want to say he's performed up to his level, but he's at least shown the team that, yeah, there is a possibility and I may want to be traded, but as long as I am a Chicago Bull, I'm going to go out there and play Chicago Bulls basketball. Whether or not he gives us his full 100% effort, all 48 minutes a game, is another story. But for now, you have to commend the man for at least showing up and being somewhat of a leader on this team, so to speak. I mean,
right. I give him credit for being professional. I mean, that's one thing I do like about Zach is that he's always been professional. I mean, like you said, with Harden and just being a big old crybaby that he is, Damian Lillard in the offseason, how his agents told other teams that he's not going to show up to training camp, he's not going to play for you, yada, yada, yada. But, I mean, I didn't really believe that because Dame's pretty professional too. I mean, he's trying to figure it out in Milwaukee. Will he stay? I don't really think so. But I think Zach is handling this pretty well.
I don't know. He's been pretty loud lately. He's been talking to a lot more of the media and showing that he's upset with everything. And he's being quite disrespectful to Billy, which, is it warranted? Maybe, but stop being a disgruntled employee. It's going to make other teams not want you on their team, too. Is you're going to turn on them?
I don't know. I mean, look how many teams James Harden has been on.
Yeah, but how many of those teams that James Harden has been on, besides that first Thunder team, showed legitimate success and legitimate threat to win it all? You know what I mean?
The Houston Rockets?
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's about. But that was,
Well, that was also him in it. That was James Harden's prime.
Right.
He was arguably you could say that he was one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And like what Scott said about being disgruntled is you're displaying to other teams to not buy into you because, okay, well, yeah, he's a tremendous athlete, but the second that he's unhappy, he's going to quit on you. You know what I mean? The being disrespectful to Billy, that is your coach, man. That is your coach. He is your boss, so to speak. If you're going to show disrespect towards your boss, other teams are going to take that into account, and they're not going to even bother with you. Nobody wants a troublemaker or a know-it-all or, that type of player on their roster. It only brings in negativity. Key in James Harden, I'll even throw Kyrie into this.
Yeah, Kyrie has off-court issues.
Right. So
had.
Right. And the number one reason why I can tell that he's disgruntled or unhappy is, did any of you guys notice how to me at least, it looked like Zach Lavine kind of changed his game up. Last year he was driving the lane more often and he was getting to the foul line more often. Whether or not they're calling it now is a topic for another show, because I do think that he's been screwed out of a lot of calls that he's driven the paint in. But it just doesn't look like he has that high energy anymore. And that's just me. I mean, I've watched almost every game this year. I just don't see it. What about you?
Maybe he doesn't have the higher energy because he just doesn't want to be on the team anymore. He probably knows this team ain't it. This isn't going to work. This is our third time, trying this whole experiment out. And every year we get a little worse than the year before. So why should I try so hard if we're going to get the same results?
We're also always playing from behind, so he's like, oh, we need to catch up, let's chuck up a bad three. So he's not driving.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I don't know a time where the Bulls have been on the other side where we've had a comfortable lead to protect. We've always been either trying to crawl out of a hole or battling those, alternating possession games where, what you're winning, then you're losing, those one possession games. I don't think we've ever had a comfortable lead, with the exception of those first two games.
I was going to say, I think the only time we've really had a comfortable lead was that Utah game. Right,
yeah. And I mean, that's one out of however many games we've played, like 12. I'm sure it takes a toll on players. Like this, it kind of sucks having to be behind all the time. Like you should not have to put that much effort every day to win games by crawling back from a 20-point deficit. I think that you have 3 players that are all-stars on this team. They should not be playing this poorly together.
Yeah, that's why I think we should just blow this whole thing up.
So who do you...
Oh, yeah.
Where do you think he's going to get traded? Like, what are the teams that will give the best offer or his best fit?
I really think that if it's a contending team, I think he's either going to go to the Heat or, as much as I hate to say it, he could be a Laker. Just because Zach's contract is the big elephant in the room when it comes to like trade talks, because he has like 173 million left on his contract, I think. And he's guaranteed like 40 this year, I think.
Yeah, he's got a lot of money coming his way.
It's just the money wise that's the hard part of it, because like if he does go to LA, like we're gonna have to. D'Lo is for sure gonna be in that package just to make the money work. I like D'Lo. I like him a lot. I've liked him since he got into the league, but I don't want this version of D'Lo. If it was D'Angelo Russell when he was on the Nets, yeah, 100%. I'll take that trade. But I don't want D'Lo right now. And then for the Heat, we would probably get Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero just to make the money work. And I just think Tyler Hero is such a douche, so I don't want him on my team. I can't root for some douchebag out there. If we try to get young talent, I would hope that the Bulls would trade him and get picks and young talent in return. So I would want him to be traded to like Houston, Detroit, or the team that just beat us, Orlando. So that's just my thoughts. Scott, what are your takes?
So you said the Lakers and the Heat. Part of the problem with that is we're going to have to wait. I think it's till December 15th is the earliest some of those trades can happen, just because you're going to trade people that just got contracts. And I think there's a waiting period. With the Lakers, I think there's talks of Hichimara being involved, and you can't move him until like January. So,
plus that's such a that mock trade that every single Lakers fan has posted of D'Angelo Russell, Rory Hachimura, some other player, and I think it was like a first or a second round pick. That is hot garbage. That is hot garbage that no one will pull the trigger on. Stop suggesting it.
That's Lakers fans. They're like, oh, we can trade Russell for...
Oh, let's trade this water cooler for Kawhi Leonard.
It's stupid. They say nonsense. We say nonsense too, but it's just Lakers fans. And it's fed into by ESPN. One trade I saw that I really like, Golden State. Klay Thompson is not playing well this year. I think he's averaging like 15 points a game, and he's shooting like 20% from three, and he just can't hit anything. His injuries, I think, are catching up to him. His old age is catching up to him. I think it would be a good replacement for him. And what I saw was Chris Paul, which we've talked about before. I think he'd fit really well on this team. And we'd get Jonathan Kuminga, who is coming off the bench, and he's a young player. He was like the 7th pick, and he's scoring like 12 points a game. He's gone off a couple times for like 20 and maybe a pick in return. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad trade at all.
The Warriors are going to need someone down the stretch if Klay keeps playing like this. If he can't get it back, they're going to need someone. And I think Zach would be a good number 2. He's not a number 1, being a number 2, and Steph knows how to find people. So I think it would be good. Detroit, I would love Detroit just because I want Jaden Ivey. He needs a new spot, and I think he'd do really well on our team. Give us Joe Harris. I know it's like an expiring contract, but he shoots a lot of threes. Give us Kevin.
It's also a lot of money, so
Give us Kevin Knox too. Like the guy, I don't know if you guys remember him from the.
I remember Knox.
He's actually playing pretty well. He's shooting like 40% from three right now. So
yeah, he's like a late bloomer in the NBA.
He's still super young, but I don't know if we're going to get any picks out of that. But I think Jaden Ivey would be a really good addition to our team. A nice young player. Knox would be good, and Joe Harris. Expiring contract, but he can hit some threes. We wouldn't take that far of a step back. Detroit's made trades like that before where they're in last place, but they want to make a run. And Cade Cunningham is really killing it right now. They have some nice pieces. They just haven't figured out how to get it together. And maybe Zach will help.
Yeah, what Detroit really needs is a pure scorer, and that's exactly what Zach is. So that would 100% help Cade and the Pistons. But you gotta ask yourself with this trade, like, are the Bulls trying to retool, or has Acme finally figured out, like, hey, we should probably blow this up because this isn't working?
I would think they would try to retool.
Yeah,
I think they're going to retool too.
You got to look at history. You know, the Bulls over the years, I mean, we can date this back to, obviously after the Jordan era. Every time that we have a subpar season, the Bulls try to replace a big name with another somewhat big name just for attendance purposes.
Yeah, Jerry's trying to get those ticket sales back up. We're
Right.
25 in attendance, guys.
Right. And ultimately, that's the determining factor of where Zach gets traded. You want my opinion on where Zach is going? The problem is I don't know, because a player of Zach Lavine's caliber, I don't think you can accomplish this with just a one-for-one team trade. I would think that you would need to get at least a 3-team trade going because, like you said, Dan, his contract is huge, okay? I think in order to get Zach to either the Lakers or the team that he really wants to go, there needs to be a third team involved. I got to see picks for him. He is a tremendous athlete. He's an established all-star. We need first-round picks. As far as who I'd like to see on the team, I'm really liking OG Anunoby in Toronto. There's a couple younger players I like, but are they available? That's the question. You know, like we said last episode, Brandon Ingram, Valanciunas, you know, are they available? Malik Monk in Sacramento is having a tremendous year. My goodness, I would love to have him in Chicago. But what do teams really have to offer for Zach Lavine, especially like we said earlier, if he's going to come out and demonstrate that the second he gets unhappy, he's just going to quit on your team? What owner is really going to want to invest in a player like that?
I mean, I've seen some mock trades of Zach going to the Kings for, I know Harrison Barnes. I just remember Harrison Barnes was like the center of it, just because he's getting older. He's going into an expiring contract, and I think it would be funny if Zach did end up on the Kings, because they're the ones who gave him an offer sheet when he first became a free agent under Garpax. So I think that would have been like a whole full circle situation. But yeah, like Scott said, I think it'll be a little easier in like mid-December to January, just because that's when more contracts open up to be traded. But yeah, I mean, I really hope that it's not retooling. I really hope that they do blow this up, because like I do want some of the Magic's players, and I feel like Zach wouldn't be terrible on the Magic, especially since they have, you know, a little something going, and it seems like they're trying to make a push into at least the play-in. So I feel like he would help the Magic out a lot. And if we could get like Suggs and Cole or Fultz off that team, I'd be a happy camper. Oh, and of course some picks. I definitely want some picks. We need picks.
Well, picks are a must. You got to think. So far the only trade I've really truly liked is the trade to the Lakers. Now, I know a lot of people, especially you, aren't too happy with that trade, but here's the thing. With a trade to the Lakers, the Bulls would probably get, like you said, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, might see some picks or a Cam Reddish thrown in there. I know you guys don't like Cam Reddish, okay, but you know he's just, here you go. D'Angelo Russell coming to Chicago, if he's happy and he plays like D'Angelo Russell, he fixes our point guard issue. You can now move Kobe back to the 2. Okay, with Rui Hachimura playing, I think what is he, stretch four, or is he swingman, power forward,
He's
small forward?
Power forward, small forward. Yeah.
Okay, that can fix the issue with Pat Williams. Pat Williams is having an absolutely abysmal year. I think that his time in Chicago is getting close to being up. So with Rui Hachimura coming over, that addresses our issue at the small forward. So in my opinion, I think the best spot that we can make a deal with would be the Lakers, because it fixes our issues that we're having as a whole. But will the Lakers want Zach on the team? Are they willing to part with these pieces? That's my question.
Yeah, Rui's still young, right?
Yeah. Believe he was drafted in 2017, Scott? 2018?
Yeah, he's 25 years old, so he hasn't even entered his prime yet.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he has a hefty contract, though.
Rui? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he does.
The problem, and I think the reason why that trade won't go through, is because the Bulls tend to have a bad habit of asking for way too much, and I can see them, the Lakers that is, looking at the Bulls saying, I will give you contract matches. Like, I'll give you D'Angelo Russell, Rui, and we'll say Cam Reddish again, but no pick. The only reason why I'm going to say that is because, like we said, they see Rui Hachimura is 25 years of age. He's got sky-high potential. He's basically like a first-round pick. You know, you got D'Angelo Russell, who's an all-star point guard. You're trading an all-star in Zach Lavine. You're getting an all-star in D'Angelo Russell. Plus, you're getting the young talent in Rui Hachimura in the form of your pick. And we're giving you Cam Reddish because, well, yeah, he's Cam Reddish, man. So, I mean, that's the only thing that I think is holding him up, is the Lakers not wanting to part with a pick.
So we keep talking about picks, but do we actually trust AK and Mark to make good picks? Like, just looking at their history, Patrick Williams, absolute bust. They drafted a guy named Marko Savacic. He's playing in Serbia right now. I think he played like 5 games. We drafted AO. He was a second-round pick. He could have been a first-round pick. He's a decent bench player. Dalen Terry, 18th pick. He's never seen minutes. Like, how are you going to be? You're the 18th pick. You should be able to be a bench player. And then we drafted Julian Phillips this year, who was a second-round pick, also barely seeing any minutes. I don't trust him to draft. Their AK is not good. I'm kind of at the point where Garpax were better drafters. And that's kind of embarrassing. But
don't give up on Julian Phillips just yet. Don't give up on Julian Phillips.
I'm gonna. But Garpax actually did have some good picks, but
they had a lot of good picks.
AK has drafted bad players. I don't trust him. So all this talk about picks, I don't know if I really want picks, because we're just gonna blow it on a bad player. But yeah,
I mean, you don't know the player until they get into the league and everything. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to lose faith in AK this early. Like, I understand that a lot of Bulls fans have lost faith in AK just because we've dealt with Garpax for forever, and I just think it's too early to give up on AK still.
I mean, I really haven't given up on AK more than I've just given up on Billy Donovan, honestly. I mean, in my opinion, your coach, the job is to wrangle your crew, you get your crew in order. He's got a divided house. You know, if you as a coach cannot get your house together, I think that's a sign of weakness thereof. Do you think this would have happened under Tibbs? Do you think this would have happened under Phil Jackson? I mean,
well, do you think that Billy just can't handle like star level players? Like, I know he coached Westbrook. Wasn't that Westbrook's last season though with OKC?
I thought he had the big three with KD, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook.
No, KD was already gone.
Oh, he was?
Or no, that was Scott Brooks. I'm thinking of Scott Brooks.
I just don't think he's he's not a good NBA coach. He's a good college coach. He just has never shown.
He's a good developmental coach.
I doubt that. Like, our young players haven't got better.
True, solid.
He's a good. It's like Fred Hoiberg. He's a good college coach. He can be somewhat successful in the NBA, but he's never shown that he can be a really good coach. He's no Ty Lue.
Do you think Billy's just getting like a cop out because of Westbrook and then Shea, and then he gets over to Chicago and we have Zach? So it's just it's more of the good players, bad coaching.
Yep. I'm just waiting for this year. They finally fire Billy and they hire Becky Hammond. Hire her now.
Yeah.
She just,
It's not gonna happen.
they need to. It, like, as much as people
I
that
agree.
Becky Hammond shouldn't be in the NBA, she went over to the WNBA, went to the Aces. They were getting so close to the finals. The 2 years that she became head coach, they won back-to-back years and were the best team. She was bringing players in. Becky Hammond needs a job in the NBA. She needs to be the Bulls coach.
Dude, I would love that.
She was the assistant for Pop too, wasn't
Yep.
she?
Yeah, and that's exactly why, is because any coach who shared a sideline with Greg Popovich, I will give him a spot. Becky Hammond, she is a player that, she is a coach that players will respect. You know, she doesn't just demand respect on the court; she earns it, and that's what I really like about her. She's had tremendous success, but the problem is, once again, do the Bulls have the capability of going after a coach of that caliber?
It's just not going to happen because Billy's extension kicks in as soon as this season ends.
I mean, you can always fire a coach.
I mean, I don't think Reinsdorf is going to eat that. I think that's the biggest issue that the Bulls have. Like the Sox too, but this is a Bulls podcast. Like Jerry is so goddamn cheap and such a bad owner. Like the biggest thing we need is for him just to sell the team altogether. So Bulls fans, stop going to games, stop buying merch.
Sal.
So awesome. Yeah, Sal.
Well, who knows? I may not be able to buy another piece of Bulls merch till the day I die after this podcast comes out.
I hope so.
Maybe they're like, there's a reason why this team is doing bad, and it's because you're buying the merch.
Yeah, maybe the 1 year you don't buy merch, we actually have a winning season. But yeah, I think Jerry needs to go. Jerry has to go. He has to. It's not even I want Jerry to go. Jerry needs to go. Give it to someone who actually cares about the city, cares about winning, needs to own this team to make us competitive. I mean, we're a major market. We shouldn't struggle to get free agents. We shouldn't be so cheap with our money. Like we're the Chicago Bulls. We're a worldwide brand.
Well, that's exactly what it is, and you briefly touched on it. I don't want to get too much into details because I want to save this for its own episode on its own, because I've over the years I've dissected why the Bulls are as bad as they are, why they're such a poorly ran organization. And it is documented through former players that the Bulls organization is terrible. And that's because, like you said, when you are a major market team, you don't need to do much to have a successful franchise. Look, the Bulls had arguably the best player of all time win 6 championships here. We have history. We're in Chicago, one of the biggest markets. What do we really need to sell out seats? We were selling out stadiums when we were winning 15 and 16 games. You know what I mean? So if you're Jerry Reinsdorf, why do you need any more motivation to win or to spend any more money? Because you're going to sell tickets. You're going to sell merch. Why overpay players and why go after these big names if you're just going to get the same result as not spending that money? And that's the problem as a Bulls fan, is the only way to fix this team is to completely boycott the team. Now, I'm not inciting a riot here to do that, but you want to fix the Bulls organization, start showing less interest in the Bulls.
Storm the stadium.
Well, let's not do that.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
But yeah, I actually want to do a full episode on that, because over the years, like I said earlier, countless times it's shown that that's the reason why we as a franchise have been struggling.
I just think if we got a better owner, we would just be better overall. I mean, it's like the trickle-down effect. I mean, if management doesn't care, then why should anyone else care?
So much negativity. You know what? Let's move on to some positivity.
It's the Chicago Bulls. There's not much to be positive about.
Let's move on to positivity. Scott, we received tremendously good feedback from your question a couple podcasts ago about putting together a bench team with all our historic players. I was wondering, do you got another question for us? I like those critical thinking questions.
So I don't quite have a critical thinking question. This is kind of more of a question. Should the Bulls have done this? So should we have tried to draft and rebuild around Zach, or should we have traded all that away for Vooch and DeRozan? So The DeRozan trade, we traded Thad Young, our 2025 first round pick. It's top 10 protected. Luckily, it's going to be a top 10 pick. And if that doesn't go the 2025, it becomes a top 8 protected in 26 and 27. So we're going to lose. We might be losing a first round pick for that. The Vooch trade, we traded the number 8 pick that turned into Franz Wagner, which we saw him tear us up yesterday. The number 11 pick, which was Jet Howard, Jet Howard. But the point is, Derek Lively was in that trade, or was in that draft. He was picked one after. Derek Lively would have been great on the Bulls. Wendell Carter, which we all liked Wendell Carter. We thought he was getting better and better.
I love Wendell.
And then,
I still like him.
And then Otto Porter was in that trade, and he's kind of just, he's done. His career's almost done. But would you have rather had those picks? We possibly would have still had Thad Young. We probably would have let him go because he's getting up there, but we would have still had Wendell. Or would you have rather had us go for it for the last 3 years?
I mean, I think that the Bulls messed up by not building around Lauri Markkanen. So building around Zach, I don't think Zach is a caliber player where you can build around. He doesn't have that. I don't think he's got that drive. And as far as he's concerned, he'll never be the number one guy. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think the original plan was to build around Lauri, but then AK got in this win now mode, and yeah, the rest is what we saw last night. Hot garbage.
Well, you got to think the Bulls are also, in my opinion, terrible at developing players. Our success has always happened when we acquired players. Like, do you think that Zach Lavine was Zach Lavine when he got to the Bulls because he was on the Bulls? No. Zach Lavine was already good in Minnesota. DeMar DeRozan, do you think the Bulls turned him into the fourth quarter master that he is, the mid-range magician? No. That's what he was his entire career. Vooch, do you think he was a double-double machine because he got to the Bulls? No. So the Bulls as a whole, I think we're terrible at developing players. So picks scare me as a whole. I would rather have players that can do the job and build around them and just fill in the pieces. But that's just how I would do it.
I still think it wasn't AK's choice to go for it now. That is a very big Jerry Reinsdorf thing. You see it with the White Sox every year. They trade away young players to try to go for it, and it always fails. I think he was basically told, you have to do it, which sucks because I hate Jerry. But
looking off into the distance.
Yeah,
I hate Jerry.
Kind of going off Sal's thing about the Bulls developing players. Bobby Portis didn't become the player that he is until he left the Bulls. You didn't.
Dan Gafford.
You didn't. Gafford was. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he hasn't gotten that much better.
I'm a fan of Dan Gafford.
Danny Gafford is a beast, dude. I wish we would have kept him.
Lauri Markkanen didn't get as good as he was until he left. Tony Snell turned into a pretty decent player after he left. He killed us a couple times.
Did he? Did he turn into a decent player?
Eh.
Tony Snell? Yeah. Is the right answer.
Wendell Carter took a huge step after he left us. He's hurt now.
I think injuries.
Yeah,
I think it's just injuries.
But it's just we don't develop our young players. Like AO took a huge step back after his first year. Patrick Williams has been taking a step back every year. Julian Phillips and Dylan Terry don't see minutes because we can't develop them.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to be fair, Jimmy Butler. I mean, we traded him right when he was entering his prime. So, I mean, that I don't know if that was more on Tibbs than the coaching staff now or what, but I mean, Jimmy's a good example of us getting those good developmental players. I mean, you could say Derek, but I mean, Derek was just always good, so kind of leave him off that list.
Yeah, well, Derek just had natural talent. I didn't think we needed much effort to develop him. I think he actually developed our team more than we developed him, that is.
Yeah, I think Derek's thing was like he just had to get used to the style of the NBA And then once he figured that out, that's when he got the MVP.
Yeah, I mean he's an anomaly in and of itself. I mean, I think that the only way the Bulls are ever going to win a championship in our lifetime is if another anomaly occurs. You know, like your Michael Jordan, like your Derrick Rose without the injuries. That's the only really savior to our team.
That's why, like, I'm not opposed, like, as much as I hate teams that, like, tank and everything, but I'm not opposed to tanking if there's a absolute stud in the draft.
I don't like taking.
I don't like tanking either, but I mean, if it means that we get, like, a stud, like a Derrick Rose, or, like, I'm not going to say Wemby because that's a generational talent, or like a Cade Cunningham, or even like a Wiggins or something, like, sure, tank, go for it. Like, we're already not winning games, just let's start losing on purpose now.
See, the only reason why I hate when teams tank, especially us, is because you waste an entire season and then you draft a player that doesn't amount to anything, and that was essentially a waste of time as a whole. Like, you know, who do we got? Like trying to think of a good example. Like, imagine you tank an entire season and you pick Greg Oden.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
why I don't like tanking, because or you tank
Barnett.
an entire Anthony Bennett. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Bennett,
next.
that's what his name was.
Is he still around?
I think he's still in Ohio because he refuses to get on planes.
I don't know. Scott, what else you got?
I just don't know with this team. It's just
this team, like I was thinking about it last night, like their whole like hashtag See Red thing, like they execute that perfectly because so many fans get so frustrated and mad that all they see is red. So, God, something needs to change with this team. I don't know if it's Billy. I don't know if Zach being traded will help, but I really think that this is the blow up year. Like, I wasn't saying it last season, but this should be a blow up year. Like, just screw it. Who cares? Blow it all up. We're not getting any better. We're not gonna get any better.
As we're talking about red, I fucking hate the floor. It looks so bad. The in-season floor, I hate it.
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's so slippery too. It's like, if you've looked around the whole league, like almost all the teams have had issues with the floor having some sort of issue. It's just like manufacturing issues, or it's just like...
It had to be because like the whole entire
good.
court is painted.
Yeah.
There's zero wood shown.
Well, yeah, there's no texture to the wood under the floor. I know it's sealed and everything, but wood in and of itself still has those natural grooves in it to kind of provide some sort of a grip on the floor, and we just basically turned it into a wooden skating rink. I mean, you guys saw last night, Alex Caruso left like a 2-foot skid mark when he slipped.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to the NBA for trying it, but I like, you know, like a handful of the court designs and everything, but next season let's not do this.
Actually, this kind of segues into something, a video I sent you guys, and I thought it was a really good idea. I saw this video on Instagram of why this in-season's kind of a failure. What they really need to do is involve the EuroLeague, involve the G League, just like they do in England, is have every league play. Maybe it's not like a regular season game. It doesn't count as a regular season game, but I guarantee if you ask like, hey, Barcelona, hey, Real Madrid, do you want to be in a tournament with some NBA players? You know those players are going to show up. You know the NBA, they're not going to want to lose to a European team. So I think that'll get some people to watch that. Or maybe it's not an in-season game or a tournament or in-season. Do it in the off-season. Have them actually show up and have like a big tournament where you're playing against these European teams. Make the games count. We play all these preseason games against like, I don't know, teams from like Israel, teams from like China. Why don't we actually set up a tournament where this kind of thing counts? I think that would be a lot more interesting than what this is. I
like it. I think that even if you didn't have the Euro teams and you just brought teams in from the G League. I mean, those players to get on like that kind of like notice from TVs and a chance to win $500,000, and these guys are like, you know, trying to just make it into the NBA. Hell yeah, they're gonna ball out. So I fully welcome that idea.
Scott, can you actually like repost that video on one of our socials or all of them? Because I think everyone should watch that video. That was such a fantastic video. Again, like you guys said, there's a reason why soccer has such the success that it has, is because there is honor in it. You know, I forgot who it was that was on the Olympic team that said world champion of what? The United States? With the relegation, everything, I love the idea of incorporating it just a basketball league. And if you are like the bottom 5 teams, you fall out of the league and you get relegated. You go down a league. And then the top 5 teams from the G League, so to speak, will get promoted into the NBA. And then the top 5 teams overall, we compete with like the Euro teams, and we have one big giant tournament and see who is officially a world champion. I think that was a tremendous video. If you can post that, because I think listeners would love to see that. It sheds a lot of light.
Oh, for sure. I don't think we can do the relegation, but it would be kind of funny that the Bulls get replaced by the Windy City Bulls.
Well, or
I would love it.
Or
I would love
a different team. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Windy City Bulls. That would be funny. But like, you know,
I would love it.
I would love it too, because you would actually have put Jerry in his place to be like, okay, now I actually kind of have to keep up with my team a little bit, because you make superiorly less money in the G League than you do in the NBA.
Didn't Jerry even hand off like the basketball stuff to his son?
I thought
Michael
so.
Reinsdorf?
Like, I don't know if he's like the official or the next in line. He's still a Reinsdorf dude, like father, like son. Apple doesn't.
Oh yeah,
from
no,
the tree.
I'm not saying it's any better. I'm just saying like that's just how much Jerry actually cares about this team. He handed it off to his son, and even his son can't get it right. Like, God, I hate the Reinsdorfs. Sorry, topic for another
No,
episode.
it's always a thing. They're a terrible owner. They're super cheap. They care more about making money. There's a reason why we never go over the luxury tax. I don't even think he cares much about the Bulls. He cares more about the White Sox. So I would think there's a possibility that the Bulls get sold to someone else, but he has a clutch on half of Chicago sports. How depressing is that?
Someone needs to regulate that.
Well,
someone should have to regulate that.
Just kind of look at the two somewhat successful Chicago teams. You got the Blackhawks. The old owner died. The son took over, and he immediately said, okay, I'm actually going to care about this team. I'm going to put a lot of money in this team. And they started to do well. They won 3 Stanley Cups. Look at the Cubs. They got a new owner. What did they do? They revamped the whole stadium. They won a World Series. They put money into the team. They cared. You don't get that with the Reinsdorfs. They don't care. They just want, let's just try to win every year. Let's never try to rebuild. Let's never care about the fans. Jerry hates the fans. There's a reason why he doesn't talk to any of them. Jerry needs to sell the team.
You would need an owner of like the Mark Cuban level. Mark Cuban, he just wants to win. He doesn't care if he sell out stadiums or not. He wants to win. He loves the Mavericks being good. And he even sits on the court. I don't think I've ever seen Jerry Reinsdorf on TV sitting that close to the court like Mark Cuban will do. That's the difference between an owner who cares about his team and an owner who's using his team to generate revenue. And that's exactly what Michael or Jerry Reinsdorf encompasses.
So I looked up real quick the Bulls, like how much the Bulls are worth. $4.6 billion. So Jerry, if you like money, which we all know you do, just sell the team and you'll get $4.6 billion.
Just sell it to Barack Obama. He's already talked about wanting to own the Bulls.
I would love.
Yeah, just do it.
He's a fellow Chicagoan. He's good at basketball. He's a former president. So, I mean, do we need more money, Brock? Oh, yeah, he'll just call the, Secretary of Treasury and get some more money real quick.
Is he even allowed to?
Why wouldn't he be able to? You have to be... Oh, he can't just use tax dollars to buy the Bulls.
No. But what I'm saying is after you step down as president, your life changes forever. You can't even drive a damn car after you are You can't drive after you're a president. So is he able to own a? I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
he
why
would
wouldn't he
be
be
a
able to?
partial owner. He wouldn't own it completely. He'd probably, I don't know, he'd probably do it with someone would invest. I don't know, ask Common, some rapper or something would invest. Common wants
Chance.
Chance or Common, they'll probably throw money in.
Lupe loves Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, exactly. Does Oprah have money to waste?
I'm more than positive she does.
Yeah.
Bill Murray, get that wallet up.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Let's
there's,
go Bulls.
but that doesn't always fix it too. Like having an owner that wants to throw a bunch of money. I know you guys don't watch baseball, but the New York Mets got a brand new owner. He threw a bunch of money on it, and they were terrible and had to blow it up this year. But money doesn't always fix it, but at least just showing that you care about the team will make the fans care. And the fans are pissed. There's a reason they don't show up to the games. Just watching the games yesterday, front row seats, they're empty. You should not have seats empty that are shown on TV. That's embarrassing.
What about courtside Ty? What's his name? Courtside Ty? The guy who sits courtside every game.
Who is that guy?
I think he's just a
I've
season
seen that
ticket
guy at
holder.
games.
You've seen
I've
him
seen
at
that guy.
games?
I've seen him at games. I've seen him in like when I go up to Milwaukee to see the Bulls.
I want to know what that guy does for a living because those tickets are expensive.
I have no idea who this guy is or what he does.
Sell the team to him.
He just loves the Bulls.
Yeah, if he has the money, yeah, sell the team to him.
Well, there you go. Hold
And
on. That's how you fix the team. Have courtside Ty sell his season tickets. If he's not at the games, maybe he'll get the ball rolling.
Maybe. I don't know.
But speaking of games, fellas, did you know that it's our 5th podcast? And we were talking about jerseys earlier in the show. I still think I should be allowed to rock an Alex Caruso jersey, but I'll let the listeners tell me what I can and can't do. But that really
You can
gave
get a
me.
Lakers one.
I'm not wearing a damn Lakers jersey. There's no way in hell.
I think
The only Caruso jersey you can have is a Lakers one.
we should
No.
change the thing to can Sal buy a Bulls jersey? If it's no, me and Dan get to choose which jersey you have to buy, and it's going to be a different team.
Okay.
There you
okay.
go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. We'll do that next podcast after everyone puts their comments in. So Bulls fans slide over the poll and leave your opinion. If it's more no's, I will let you guys pick a jersey that I will go out and buy and rock. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Sam will get you a LeBron James high school jersey.
Let me retort my prior statement. That's no longer going on. It's not going on. All right, that's fine. If I lose, I lose. That's what it is. I'll let you know what? If I lose and it's a no, we'll let the fans decide what jersey I have to wear. How about that?
It's fair.
We'll open another poll.
All right.
But anyway, actually, before we start our 5th game, I have some bad news for you, Scott.
Oh, no.
So remember when we had that game about the Bulls drafting, and I said they had to be drafted by the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah.
And you
Did I win? Did I win by a technicality?
Did we tie?
You guys, okay, so here's the thing. You said Scottie Pippen as a draft pick, okay? Scottie Pippen was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics,
shit.
and we traded for him on draft night. So you guys ended in an 8-8 tie. So you're actually 2 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie. Dan is 0 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. So you're not
I'm a Bulls fan.
undefeated
I'm
anymore.
used to losing, man.
So yeah, my kid actually told me that. He's like, "Why did you let that question go by?" What do you mean? He's like, "You know that the Sonics drafted Scottie Pippen." I'm like, "Damn it, I knew it."
Student became the master.
Talking about the Sonics, I was watching the Rockets game yesterday, and they posted a thing. Jeff Green's on that team, and it was like him and KD are the last players to officially be on the Sonics. Russell Westbrook was drafted by the Sonics, but they became the Thunder the year that he got drafted. So there's still 2 players that are Sonics. Also, Jeff Green's still playing in the league, which kind of blew my mind too.
Yeah, I was looking at the Rockets roster when I was messing around with like mock trades for Zach, and yeah, I was shocked that I was like, this dude's still in the league.
Yeah, and actually playing fairly well. So the inspiration for game number 5, and you guys are going to like this one because it's going to test how well you knew the team is. Because we were talking about the number 5 and jerseys, I'm like, let's see if my co-hosts know some of the Bulls players to have worn number 5.
Carlos Boozer.
Maybe. We'll see. So it's going to be in a Who Am I format. I got
I have his jersey.
I know you do. I've seen it. We're going to do, I call this the 5 for 5 on 5. It's the 5 players that wore number 5 on the 5th podcast. Who Am I format. I'm going to give you 5 players. I'm going to ask you questions about who they are. I'm going to ask you 5 questions about who they are, and you just tell me who it is. And there's 5 of them, so you guys can't tie.
Okay, so we don't need a pen and paper this time?
No. So let me know when you guys are ready.
Can we jump in at any time?
Sure.
Or do we have to say Buzz or something?
No. Buzz Lightyear to the rescue.
How about
no?
Just read the clues and do a little bit of time. Me and Dan will jump in between that.
Yeah. I'll give you a little bit of space. So these are actually going to go from hard to easy because there's one question on here that they'll give it away. So just so you guys don't have to Google it or something. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Player number 1 is from Maywood, Illinois, and he was born in Oak Park.
Jalen Rose.
Nope.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm not going to guess because I have no idea.
he went
get different?
He went to college.
Clue?
Well, you get 5 clues.
Okay.
He went to college at West Virginia. He played for Memphis, Phoenix, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and now Chicago.
Oh, Javon Carter.
Yeah, there you go. Javon Carter. He is the current.
I forget that he's from Illinois.
He's the current number 5 for the Bulls. He currently wears it. Okay, so 1 point to Dan. All right, you ready? Player number 2 went to Arkansas. He was born in Little Rock. Jeez, dude. Yeah, it was Bobby Portis. Yep, he wore number 5. Fun fact about Bobby that I loved about him, his nickname was Crazy Eyes.
Yeah,
and I just thought that was the coolest. It still is, yeah. It's really cool.
By the way, real quick, I hate that Bucks fans chant Bobby. As much as I love Bobby, I hate to chant Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. I always just want to tell him to shut up. Yeah, you shut your mouth. Keep your comments in your pocket, bud.
You just hate that section at the Bucks games. Those
100%. And if you've never been to a Bucks game before, they have this whole section. It's been there even in the BMO Harris days of these fans, and they chant and cheer and they act like it's a college game. It's like a college atmosphere in that little section, and I hate them so much because they chant and cheer and just rant and rave for 4 whole quarters. It is so annoying. Anyways, continue.
All right. Player number 3, Scott. You got to get on the board, otherwise this is the determining factor there. All right. This player wore number 5 on the Bulls from 2002 to 2003. He shares a last name with another Bulls great.
Jalen Rose.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Jalen Anthony Rose. He was part of the Fab Five.
I thought he was on the Bulls for more than 1 year.
I think it was he was traded here halfway through the 01-02 season and then played 02-03, and then we got rid of him for, I think we traded him to Toronto, and we got Jerome Williams, Anthony Davis, or Antonio Davis.
I was going to say Anthony Davis.
No, different Anthony Davis. All right, so 2-1. I like it. Scott's on the board, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this one is going to be a good one. All right, he wore number 5 from 2004 to 2009.
Carlos Boozer.
No. He was traded to Sacramento by Chicago in the 2009 season. Averaged 10.5 points for his career, 38% three-shooter. He was a gold medal winner in the 2004 Athens games. And he went undrafted to the Bulls after playing for Argentina.
Nocioni?
No way, you actually knew Noach? Yeah, big Noach. Oh, man. Are you Googling this?
No,
that was a good one.
That was a good one. Wow. Damn. Hell yeah, man. That's amazing. Well, you win, but for gigs, we'll do the last one.
Carlos Boozer.
And you win. Jeez, dude.
Damn it.
Damn. 4-1?
I had Derek Jones Jr. just ready to go. I was waiting for it.
He was the other one I was debating. I'm like, oh, should I throw this one in there? But they wouldn't have, I think you would have gotten it right away. The other one who wore it before Derek Jones Jr., I don't know if you guys remember this, was Al Farouk Amino.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot he was on the team.
Yeah, that was a questionable era there. And then before him, Anthony Morrow. And here's a bonus question. This player wore number 5 during the first set of championship runs, and he's most notably known for being the absolute worst GM we've had.
John Paxton.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to throw him in there, but I'm like, I don't know. But that's it. Damn, Dan got on the board. He's got a victory. Scott's 2-1-1, and Dan's 1-1-2.
Finally.
1-2-1.
See, I knew that Nocioni was going to be on there because, I know that he's low-key one of your favorite players, Sal.
I used to love Noach. Noach was a beast, dude.
And I knew that Boozer had to be on there just because he's Boozer. He likes to draw hair on.
That was actually one of the clues. Remember at the beginning of the game, I'm like, some of these questions I'm going to ask are a dead giveaway. The one for Boozer was famous for using shoe polish to do his hair.
That's the dumbest. God. I wonder if anyone's ever asked him about that.
I'm sure. I
wonder what his answer was. I'll look it up.
He's actually that's one of our Discord emojis is shoe polish Carlos Boozer.
Oh, it's not has anything to do with Carlos Boozer, but Javon Carter found out why he wears 2 different color shoes. He's been doing it since he was undrafted. He's been doing it since the And One days to get noticed on And One mixtapes. That's why he does that. He's just been doing it for years.
I think that was one of the... I noticed it during the games, but it was one of those things where it's like, I really don't want to Google it because I always notice during a game, and when I'm watching the games, I really try not to Google stuff. But
I didn't. Yeah,
that's going to take us down to the wire. We had a good one today. You guys got anything for the listeners before we wrap up here?
No. Join our Discord and all of our socials. We're going to be posting questions and games to that. So join the Discord, get active. Other Bulls fans in there. We talk about other sports as well. Get in on the fun.
Scott?
Yeah, we got a couple interviews coming up. We got one set up with a guy from Australia. He actually is going to right before we do the interview, he's doing like an NBA experience that they're having in Australia. So we get to talk to him. So we're going to have that. We're having a couple more interviews set up. We have one that's coming up with a guy that was a diehard Lakers fan during the Kobe era. So it's going to be cool. The guy knows more about basketball than anybody I've ever talked to.
Who are you talking about?
Yep. We're talking about Forrest.
Yeah,
Forrest is going to be a good one. But we're going to try to keep doing a couple more separate episodes. Yeah, join the Discord. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at the Horns Over Hoops podcast. You can find the link to the Discord on our link tree, which is on our Twitter. And I believe it's on our Instagram. Yeah, jump over there. We talk about the games during it. And just if you want to talk about other sports, we have a section for that.
We have a section for mascots. So feel free to talk about any mascot you want. We love our mascots.
Talk about how I just do not like the Clippers mascot. It's so creepy. It's just a big like condor. It's weird.
I've never seen the Clippers.
Yeah, it's just a big condor.
Why?
But and we're just going to keep trying to post every 2 weeks right now for the main one, and in between we'll be posting random interviews or just recordings that we do.
All right, and also be sure to answer that Twitter question and see Sal-Bass wear a jersey of your choosing. Should Sal-Bass be able to buy a number 6 City Edition Bulls jersey, or do you think he should be banned from the Bulls merchandise section of any sports store? Let us know. Comment what you think. As my crew said, follow the socials. We are pretty active on there. Spread the love from all of us here at the Horns Over Hoops podcast. Go Bulls and see red. Good night, everyone.